All right, here we are again. This is the third and last video on this session with Raissa and Christoph on fear setting and how to work on these fears that you maybe encounter as an entrepreneur when starting up your business. And last time we talked about beliefs that are behind that fears and actually how to deal with that fears. And today we want to make that a little bit more actionable on a concrete example. So how to deal with your fears that you maybe have when realizing your ideas. And we thought, let's maybe talk about your idea, the way you did, Christoph and Raissa, because at least for Magdalena and me, we thought, wow, this is pretty bold, kind of quit your job or what you've been working on here in Liechtenstein, here in that area, having kind of a safe haven, being self-employed and going out to the ocean, buying a boat and starting a new business on the ocean, on the boat. I mean, there are so many things that, at least in my mind, could go wrong. Numerous fears that even got me, even only thinking about it. So how was that for you? Maybe we could talk a little bit about that. I mean, did you had any fears, and what kind of fears came up and how you dealt with it?
Well, to be honest, for our personal case, we had a long journey in working on our fears. So when we decided to buy the boat, I already overcame the fear of moving to a different country. So we decided to buy the boat while I was already in Brazil. So it was like a step-by-step salami technique, fear setting, and doing one step at a time. But I would love you to guide you through an emotional process that we did in the workshop. As an example, with taking exactly this example of what fears we anyway had, or fearful thoughts we had during the process of buying the boat, and that we didn't use this very technique in that moment, but thinking more about it, we've stumbled across looking into techniques of how we could now, what was in our mind, could put that into a method that we could share. We stumbled across Tim Ferriss, that in the entrepreneurship scene is a very active guy with his 4-hour work week. It probably works 20, but I don't know. Anyway, so he came up, he does a beautiful TED talk about fear setting, the same name, and his TED talk, he shares a methodology that he himself came up with. And it connects to what we've said before, that if we have something we fear really, like, okay, I moving to a different country, buying a boat, and all the things that could go wrong, he asks himself, what if I would do it, just as a mind game? What if I would buy this boat anyway? What could be the worst case scenario? So he has 3 lanes, and the third was it, what if? He says, okay, what is the worst case scenario that could happen? Well, I could sink that boat. That would be pretty shitty if I would sink that boat. So in the second column, and he gets like 10 out of these, or 20, put a lot, all the fears that could happen. I could sink the boat, I could not get the money to buy, so I could get seasick really badly, and after buying the boat, I would find out that I'm seasick and it would be disaster. And so all kinds of things, really to not just make this fear something, oh, I'm afraid of what exactly, and why are you afraid of it? So that's the beliefs, all these things. But anyway, fear are natural, like Raissa said in her first episode. It's our greatest friend. It helps us to act fast, to run, to have adrenaline, to beat the tiger. So all these things. And in this case, he, in the second part of the list, says, okay, if I sink my boat, or if I'm afraid of actually sinking my boat, how could I prevent it? How could I anticipate this boat from sinking? So I could, again, say various things. Well, I could buy an aluminium boat or an iron boat that is hard to sink. I could take all the courses before that I could do to prepare myself learning. I could sail with others first, rather than buying my own boat. That would also be a really good thing. If I'm afraid of getting seasick, then I could, well, maybe you go sailing first, do a course, all of this. So So you can say, okay, I can prepare myself for finding out, or for for giving my fear, for uncovering my fears and giving an active solution and using this energy of fear to anticipate, to learn something new, to prepare better, to plan, all of these things. However, we all know things can go wrong anyway, and that's the third column and probably one of the most important one. So if I fail anyway, so I sink the boat, I sink it. What is the cost or the time or all the things I need to do to get back to where I am, which is I'm at land in Liechtenstein, I have no boat. So then I could say, well, okay, I could put an insurance, I could make an insurance. So if I sink the boat anyway, I get the money back and I fly back to Liechtenstein. It's done. It was a great experience. I hope I won't die during the process, but that would be the next. Okay, I could die. So all right, I go through the list again. And I try to find practical solutions that help me uncover or find ways to anticipate and even repair if it goes wrong. And maybe during the process, you learn that it's all just projections, and these projections can be shifted with this energy of fear that makes us move into learning something new, doing something new. And so this is a really practical exercise from Tim that we can highly recommend. And we have a workbook that we've summarized this methodology together with a belief system where we question beliefs, together with dreaming and thinking about your own fears, into a little workbook that we also have available online for you guys to work through it as a self-study guide.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I really like I think it's a good idea to kind of tackle the fears in small steps. I really like that idea, you know, don't tackle the big one, just start small, go on a boat. And I was just like reading a book on life design, and there it was written like, you could make that first step and find people who already live in the future you want to live, kind of, and then go there and, you know, hang out with them. So if anybody of the viewers now would say like, I would also love to buy a boat and make my thing traveling around the world, so they actually should visit you guys, shouldn't they? Yeah. I mean, and it even is possible. That is the cool thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you're highly welcome. Piratesof.love.org, and you'll find all the information.
That's great.
And then in our entrepreneurship scene, we have this theory which is called effectuation. And one principle there is the cost of or the affordable loss. How much am I willing to lose? What can I put in? What can I bring in? And if I lose it, there's nothing goes wrong, or at least I won't die, or my family won't be harmed. And that relates to one principle you mentioned as well, that cost of inaction. How much does it cost me if I don't do it? If I don't live my dreams? Can you explain more? Cost of inaction, what's meant by that?
Yes, to be honest, this is my favorite question, because that's the question that really provokes me to move in case I'm thinking about not moving, in case I'm almost paralyzing. And using the same example of Christoph, right, which is my own example as well, before moving to the ocean, that was also one of my biggest dreams. I have been dreaming about that for years. But I had many fears. I didn't know how to sail. I didn't have the money. I have no previous context of sailing in my family. Although I'm from Brazil, but I'm from a big city. So I was full of fears. But I knew, there was a point that I knew if I would stay where I was, that would simply not fulfill me anymore. So the cost of inaction would be very high, which is the cost of my happiness. I would simply not fulfill myself. I wouldn't realize my dreams. I was getting depressed. I was feeling weak and not shining, which for me is the highest cost there is, of actually paralyzing and not overcoming my fears. So for me, that's courage as well, when you actually understand that I have to go with this fear, because the cost is very high if I don't do it. So I really like this question, to actually project again now into the future. What will happen now? What is this cost of inaction for the next 6 months, for example, or 1 year or 3 years? I can use the time frame I want and actually feel it. well, what will happen if I don't move to the ocean, if I don't buy this boat, if I don't realize this dream, and I stay here in the city working how I was, where I was? Well, in the next 6 months, I might get a bit depressed. I don't know, something bad will happen. But not that bad. But in 1 year, well, then I probably will be very depressed and I will need to look for help. And I don't know, I won't be healthy anymore as well. I might get even sick. And in 3 years from now, well, I might even break up with Christoph because we're both unhappy and we're both not realizing our dreams, and we're both very in need of our freedom and to live our potential. So besides being depressed myself, I will find myself in depressed relationships. So if I look at this time frame of years of the cost of this inaction, it seems pretty bad. And I simply don't want to follow this path. It's more worth it to face the fears and live this dream and use it as an impulse than making it a reality, right? And paralyzing, and let the tiger eat me, as we commented, right? Fear is an illusion. So if I'm so afraid of something that I paralyze, I turn it a reality. So the cost of inaction is a very powerful question that can serve as a huge impulse to express our potential and go with fear step by step. That's very, very important, right? Also, there is a really good book that I like from Jaimao Yogis. It's called The Fear Project. And he talks about that also scientifically, that if we have a trauma, for example, if I'm very afraid of swimming, for example, I cannot just jump into the deep water and learn how to swim from one day to the other. I have to start step by step, probably in a swimming pool where I can touch my feet. And then I go to a safe river with no waves. And then I go to the open ocean. It has to be a step-by-step process, but always get a bit out of our comfort zone. That's very important to prove to our mind that that's possible.
All right, so we will dedicate this video to all the bold streamers, and we ask them what will be your next step, your little step towards moving to the ocean. Thanks so much, Pirates of Love. You are the greatest.
Thank you,
Thanks for your
startupstube.
wisdom.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing it with us. And let's keep in touch. Guys, follow them, Pirates of Love, join them on their boats, and we hope to see each other soon.
All right, take care. And if you wonder why there was a background sound, we're here in the startupstube of FH Vorarlberg, and there are people working, busy. Now they went away for the next event. So always stuff happening. If you're interested, have a look at our website, and we're looking forward to our next workshop with you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Me too. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.